Welcome to a 2018 Football Signing Day special here at Saginaw Valley State University. I'm J.J. Boehm, joined by SVSU head football coach Jim Collins. And Coach, Signing Day always has a lot of excitement, a lot of pageantry around it. And today you're announcing 32 additions to the SVSU football program.
Well, J.J., we're excited about that. I think it's a great group of kids, outstanding student athletes. A lot of work went into it, and that's first and foremost. I'd like to thank our staff and there's a lot of hard work that goes in, not just the recruiting process, but the building of the relationships, the evaluation, and then it's across the board at the university. We get a lot of people involved, faculty members, administrators. Our strength staff is heavily involved, and our players play a big role in it as well. So a lot of hard work, and we think we really nailed it. It's a great group of football players and guys that are going to help our program, some immediately, obviously most of them down the road, but at the same time, we've got an outstanding group of students as well. A lot of guys qualifying for academic scholarships. And that's one of the things that I've always said about the recruiting classes we've brought in. It's a group of people that understand the reasons they're coming to school, to get a degree first and foremost, and then play a part in helping this university become better than it is already.
And I know obviously you're working on the recruiting process, starting from, even before the season ends and all those kinds of things. But it seemed like a lot of momentum, a lot of guys, making those decisions, over the last week to 10 days to come to SVSU.
We had a couple guys that did it over the weekend, and that's always the case. We had a few guys commit real early, but I think what recruits want to do nowadays is look at all their options, and they really want to weigh things out in terms of the best fit for them, and we encourage it. We want them to make sure that when they pick Saginaw Valley, it's because they like Saginaw Valley better than any of the other schools they're looking at. And that's the one thing I'll say about this group. They're fired up to be Cardinals, and that's what you want in the recruiting process.
Well, getting into who those individuals are who have joined the Saginaw Valley State University football program. We'll start on special teams. Start with the kicker out of Springboro, Ohio, and you'll hear a little bit about that town today outside of Dayton, Ohio. And you're bringing in a new kicker in Connor, I don't know if I'm saying this right, Luksic?
Connor Luksic, JJ. And we're excited about Connor. He's a guy that made a lot of big field goals. He had a string of 12 field goals in a row for Springboro this past year. Didn't get the opportunity to kick up until his senior year because he was behind a high school All-American that ended up signing at Northwestern. But when Connor got his chance this season, he was tremendous and made a lot of big kicks for him. And he's one of those guys, and this is what we really targeted, a guy that can do all three potentially. He did all three for Springboro, did the kickoffs, did the punting, and was an exceptional field goal kicker who's got great range. When we worked him out in our indoor facility, he was hitting them from 50 and 55 yards away. So we're excited about Connor.
And then moving to the defensive side of the ball, bringing in 6 new players, on the defensive line, 3 from Ohio and 3 from Michigan.
A great job of mixing it up, too. We've got 3 of them that play D-tackle. We thought it was really important for us to get big athletic D-tackles. We hit the mark. Hunter Sauvé from Wyandotte Roosevelt. And what we liked about Hunter is he was a two-way guy, and on offense, he was playing tight end and fullback, so he showed his athleticism, and he's big. He's a big-bodied guy, so I think he's going to be an outstanding D-tackle, as is Hayden McCod from Perry High School in Ohio. Very dimensional as a player, played inside, played outside, so we're excited about Hayden. And then Antonio Simley from Michigan Collegiate down in Warren, Michigan. He was a late ad for us, just committed over the weekend, and what we were impressed with his athleticism. He's got some room to grow. Is a basketball player. You don't see that all the time, where you're going to play a guy D-tackle and he's a basketball guy as well. But athletic, very explosive, and so we really feel good about our interior alignment. Now on the edge, we've got 3 defensive ends. Malcolm Boyd from Barberton High School in Ohio. Great get for us. There was a connection there with their head football coach. We recruited a few guys out of Barberton, and what we were looking for is an athletic player. A guy. Malcolm actually played a little tight end and receiver as well. He's going to have to get bigger, and he's excited about that, especially with the things we're doing in our strength program. But an off-the-edge, athletic guy, and then the same type of player, Kyle Dotson from Portage Central. And, the thing about Kyle is he played linebacker in high school. He played tight end, very athletic, long, and exactly what we're looking for as an off-the-edge pass rusher, a guy that can set the edge, athletic, long body. The other guy is Cameron Piper from Springboro. And Cameron, I think, is going to be in that same mold of a guy that's going to hit the weight room. He's going to get bigger and stronger, but an exceptional high school football player that I think fits in well to what we're looking for as an athletic defensive end.
And then moving to the next level on the defensive side of the football, bringing in a total of 4 linebackers, and again, bringing them in 2 from Ohio, 1 from Indiana, 1 from Illinois, so kind of hitting the Midwest with this group.
You know, JJ, the interesting thing about the recruiting class this year is we were able to get 12 guys from outside the state of Michigan, still bringing in a big group of Michigan players, but at the linebacker position, it just turned out that all 4 are out-of-state guys, 2 from Ohio, 1 from Indiana, 1 from Illinois, as you mentioned. You know, and I'll start with Chris Galloway from Yorkville, very athletic, very physical football player. He was a guy that we were on early, came to our camp in the summer, and you know, was impressive. Also impressive in the classroom, and we're excited about Chris because he's a great leader on his football team. Quincy Dawson is out of Princeton High School, traditional powerhouse in Cincinnati. Quincy, once again, cut out of that mold of what we're looking for: athletic, physical, extremely hard worker, another high academic student. Joe Polking, Springboro High School, and the nice thing about Joe Polking that when we recruited Joe, you know, it was that connection with Springboro. We've got Kyle Campfield on our team right now. Joe knew Kyle really well, and Joe had a couple Division I AA FCS offers and turned them down to come to Saginaw Valley. He's big and strong. His dad played linebacker at the University of Louisville, so he's got that pedigree, and we're excited about Joe. And then there's Joseph Wharton from Hammond, Indiana, Morton High School, and Joe's one of those guys that was a very versatile player, defensive end, outside linebacker in high school, physical, really fast and athletic. So all 4 of those guys we're excited about because, you know, the 2 things you're looking for from your defense is you want guys that can run and you want guys that are physical. And all 4 of those guys are that. Plus, I think they're all great leaders and we're great students in high school, so we're excited about them.
And you talked earlier about the importance of academics throughout this process. I had a chance to meet Chris Galloway and his family on his recruiting visit, and you know, here's someone who's talking about, hey, if I come here, will I be able to graduate not only with my bachelor's but with my MBA in 5 years? And it seems like that was a theme with a lot of the recruits and families that I got a chance to talk to this year, is that they're really being purposeful about thinking about how they're going to use this academically. No
question, JJ. And I think, you know, at the end of the day, when they pick our school, you know, there's a lot of it that goes into the program and the coaching staff and so forth. But at the end of the day, first and foremost, they're here to get an education. And that was the theme with every one of these guys and their parents, from talking to them on home visits and on their visits here. It was critical that we had the programs they were looking for and that they could see themselves 4 or 5 years from now being where they want to be, whether it was getting jobs, you know, in their field of study, or going to grad school or medical school. And you know, I say it all the time, Saginaw Valley really sells itself in terms of not just great facilities and great tradition, but obviously the academic aspect. And to have those strong programs really helps from a recruiting standpoint.
Sticking on the defensive side of the ball, moving now to the defensive backs, bringing in a group of 5, 4 from Michigan, 1 from Ohio.
Well, you know, the guy from Ohio, Ross Garrett, played for one of our grads at Centerville High School, John Puckett. So it was good to be able to get Ross. You know, we went down to the Dayton area this year and that's Southwest Ohio, and we're able to get some guys. And Ross is from Centerville is one of the best programs in the history of the state of Ohio when it comes to football. And Ross is a very polished defensive back. Ben Riley, Walled Lake Western. You know, Walled Lake Western's been known to have great DBs, and Ben's one of those guys that's extremely fast. He's a track athlete. You know, 4.4, 4.5 guy when we timed him, and will be a great corner for us. Has length, has pretty decent size. Chase Swoop out of West Bloomfield, another corner. West Bloomfield played in the state championship game. We got 2 guys coming from that high school. You know, we're excited about Chase because they played a lot of man coverage. They really had to develop their coverage skills at West Bloomfield, and that's what was impressive about Chase. Keon Harris is at Livonia Franklin, another team that played for played in the playoffs and went real far. And same thing, Keon is cut out of that mold. Great cover guy, very physical, real good with his hands. And then the last guy was a guy that graduated the year before, Donovan Williams. And Donovan Williams played at Cass Tech, and we all know how good that program is, and we all know what a great job they do of having developing defensive backs. And we talked to Donovan the year before. Things didn't work out. We waited a year. We were patient. He was patient. It's exciting to have him coming in this fall for us.
Moving now to the offensive side of the football, bringing in a good group here. Again, a position group, obviously, where you need to constantly be developing depth and bringing in a lot of people. And you've got 6 players coming in on the offensive line.
JJ, we were able to hire a new offensive line coach, Drew Burton. And our offensive line recruiting was really on delay for a while. We wanted to wait to hire Coach Burton and have him get an opportunity to evaluate guys. And we really think we did a great job in the offensive line area. And it's not easy to recruit offensive linemen. I think that's one of the toughest positions, and obviously it's developmental guys. Very few guys can come in and compete right away. There might be a couple in this group that will, but at the end of the day, a lot of it is the offensive line coach being able to evaluate, see that potential, and then develop that relationship, knowing that it's going to take us 1 or 2 years to get these guys up to speed and be able to be successful linemen in this league. So we're excited about this group. Marcellus Anderson from Culver, Indiana, is a very big human being. Culver's a small town right there in north central Indiana, and when we went down to recruit him, immediately you were impressed with his size. I mean, he's just big. But when you watch his film, he bends real well, he moves real well, he's aggressive, plays with a lot of enthusiasm, so everything you're looking for. And then the other player we got out of Indiana is Stephen Worlds, who's at Goshen, Indiana High School, and traditional powerhouse in the state. Stephen, very athletic, 6'2", 6'3", somewhere in there, 265, 270 right now, but he's going to get bigger. Real strong work ethic. He's a wrestler, great leverage guy and a physical player. From the state of Michigan, DJ Somerville out of Southfield A&T had a tremendous senior year, an athletic tackle, and another guy that I think is gonna be one of those weight room guys that once he hits the weight room and is dedicated, he's going to get big, probably going to put 20, 25 pounds on real early. And I think he's a guy that's going to be, because of his athleticism, is going to be a force. Ben Spiker is an interesting story, JJ. He went to Clarkston, played on some really good Clarkston teams, but coming out of high school didn't feel like he was a finished product. He enrolled at Bridgeton Academy in Maine, did a prep school year, and when you compare his film from high school to what he was able to do at Bridgeton Academy this past fall, it's impressive the progress he's made. So he's one of those guys that could come in and challenge right away because he's got a year of post-high school football under his belt. He's mature, he's gotten bigger and stronger, and is growing still. I think he was about 270, 275 when we brought him in. So I think Ben's going to be a great player for us. And then the 2 other guys, one of them's somewhat local, Daniel Shaheen, Flushing High School. They had a tremendous season, went really far in the playoffs. He's a basketball player as well, so athletic, strong, really solid. We were impressed with his strength and physicality when we saw him play. And then Jalen Howard out of Redford Thurston, another great prospect that had a couple opportunities. I actually found out about Jalen from Herb Haygood, one of our former assistants at Eastern. They were real close to pulling the trigger on him, decided not to, and Herb called me up and said, hey, this was a guy we wanted, but we've got our position filled, and I think you should go after him, and immediately impressed Coach Burton and the rest of our staff. So 6 really, or I should say 5 really good high school players, and then the prep school player we got coming out. So an impressive group.
And then sticking on the offensive side of the ball and the tight end position, bringing in 3 that you're listing as tight ends, some of them making a position switch from high school to being a tight end, and then one that obviously played a lot of tight end in high school.
Well, James Faulkner was really an athletic guy, playmaker for West Bloomfield. Now, they were loaded on offense. They've got a couple receivers going D1, the quarterbacks going D1, and Faulkner had some opportunities, but Saginaw Valley impressed him. From the moment he stepped foot on our campus, Coach Cook did a great job recruiting him and getting him excited about Saginaw Valley. He was impressed with the academic programs, and I think the big thing about James is he's a dynamic personality. He's very charismatic. He's a great teammate type of leader that you're going to have on your team, and I think he's got some work to do from a blocking standpoint, but was a dynamic receiver for him, and that's what we're looking for, a guy that can make plays in the passing game. He's going to work hard to develop as a run blocker, and we're expecting big things out of him. Jacob Dorn from St. John's, one of those guys that really we were kind of torn between whether or not we thought he could play D-line or whether he's a tight end. He's a physical guy. He's an off-the-ball guy. We can use him as a fullback in the Frank Heimkreiter mold. So, I think he gives us a lot of versatility. And the thing I was impressed the most with Jake Dorn is just a physical. I mean, he just liked hitting people. And, once again, and he's got some intelligence. So you take a guy that can move a little bit, that's physical, and he's smart, he's going to be a football player for you. And he'll have a role in our offense. The other guy is Zach Jacobs. And Zach was the quarterback at Frankenmuth. They had an outstanding year. Zach's a great player on their basketball team, very athletic. Right now we're saying tight end, but Zach Jacobs could end up at a few different spots. He's athletic, he's tough, and he did some great things at Frankenmuth in his career. There was a point we thought about playing him at running back. We'll have a spot for Zach Jacobs, and he's a winner, and he'll help our football team just like he did in high school.
Moving to the other group of pass catchers for you and the wide receiver group, you've got 5 wide receivers that you're bringing in, 4 of them from Michigan, and then 1 all the way from Charlotte, North Carolina.
And we'll start there, JJ. Jalen Riley, we actually found out about him from one of the friends of the program, really. Will Bradley is a gentleman that works at Saginaw High, helped coach out there, and he's originally from North Carolina. And these were some people that he knew. He had some contacts in North Carolina, and Jalen Riley's from the Charlotte area, Vance High School. And immediately, all Will had to do was send me the video, and our staff got excited just watching. I mean, Jalen is a big play guy, very polished, got great ball skills, great hands. He's put together. He's one of those guys that looks like he's been in college for a couple of years. He's got that mature look to him. And we're excited to be able to get someone from the state of North Carolina come this far. Says, I think, a lot about what we have to offer here at Saginaw Valley. So we're excited about Jalen. The other guy that's an impressive guy that we're right now, he could play a variety of positions for us, is Patrick Tesho from Royal Oak. Played running back in high school, played receiver, played linebacker, played safety. And he's dynamic. He's big. He's about 200 pounds. He ran. We had him in 4.5, 4.4 when we timed him. He's a solid football player, and what you're looking for. Guys are big. Guys that can run. Guys that can make plays with the ball in their hands. Guys that can make plays on defense. And it'll be interesting to see where he develops in our offensive scheme. The other guy that was a pretty good athlete in high school, James Shelkey from Harbor Beach. He played for his dad and we've got his brother Josh with us. He played quarterback just like his brother did because that's where you put your best athlete when you're a high school coach. And he had a great career and had an outstanding senior season. But the interesting thing was when we worked him out as a receiver, how polished he was for a guy that was playing quarterback this past year. So excited about James Shelkey, another guy that's a high academic guy, will be competing for a presidential scholarship. So that's exciting. Those are the first 3 that I want to talk about. Then the other 2, Nick Whiteside out of Avondale. We've been on Nick since the summertime, since seeing him at camps. Great route runner. Can go up and get the football. Nick's about 5'11", 6 foot, but he plays like he's 6'3", 6'4" with his leaping ability, his ability to go up and high point the football and make plays. Plus, he was pretty dang good after the catch as well. And then the last guy, Jalen Thomas from Henry Ford II, another guy, did it all for him. Returned kicks, returned punts, made plays in the passing game, played on defense, just a really versatile athlete that has speed and playmaking ability. So we're excited. I know Coach Taylor's excited about having all that talent at receiver in this class, and obviously we thought it was important to bring in somewhat of a big group. with the guys that we graduated, and obviously our team maturing at that position, and have some guys come in and be able to maybe challenge right away, but obviously provide some depth and develop in our program.
And on the offensive side of the ball, going from a larger position group to one where you're bringing in only one this year, obviously a relatively young position group for your current team, but bringing in one player at running back.
Moise Gurrier. And you know what's great about Moise is he's somewhat local. He was playing at Dow, so he's got some connections with a couple of our players, Kevin Murray and Bruce Mann. We had a chance to see him as a junior, and then he transferred to the Grand Rapids area this past year, and was playing at Forest Hill Central and had a great year at Forest Hill Central, and really helped their team have an outstanding year. So we're excited about and the big thing is when you look at who we had playing running back this year, we've got a Tommy Scott who's going to be a junior, Nate Moore going to be a sophomore, Nate McCrary, going to be a sophomore as well. And so we had some young guys, so we didn't feel like we had to go out and get a bunch of running backs. We wanted to make sure we got the right guy, a guy that we knew could handle the load, could develop in our program. And I think we got the right guy. Speed is there, not super tall, but thick, built. We're talking 5'8", 5'9", but 200 pounds. And a guy that can run 4.6 consistently. So I think he's a great fit for what we're looking for. Outstanding young man, and Coach Fedrosi did a great job developing a relationship, and I think that's what it's all about. When you look at all these players and the position coaches and what it took to get them, was developing that relationship and that trust factor, and all of these guys, I thought really bonded with our staff and our players, and are going to be great fits in our program.
And then the last one that you're announcing today is a transfer who's already here and has started school here at SVSU, and that's a new quarterback.
Well, Elijah Cunningham is another Springboro guy, and he was at Bowling Green, and we've developed a good relationship with his high school coach, and he gave us a call and said Elijah was looking to leave, and would you guys be interested? And I had an opportunity to evaluate Elijah coming out of high school. We really liked him coming out of high school. And had a little bit of a relationship built with them, 3 years ago. So when the opportunity presented itself, I went down and met with them. I made a couple visits on campus and was impressed with everything we have to offer here, and understood that he was going to have the opportunity to compete. We didn't make any promises. He knew that we had a returning quarterback, but really liked what he saw and heard out of Saginaw Valley. You had a chance to meet him the day he was here with his mother, JJ, and so far he's done a great job in our off-season workouts, and we're excited to have him. And I think right now we've got an outstanding quarterback group. We've got a lot of good football players that are going to really compete hard. They're all great leaders, and I'm excited to see all these guys get to work once we put the pads on this spring.
Any closing thoughts as you evaluate this group that you're bringing in, and what you want to see from them as you continue to try to build the Saginaw Valley football program?
Well, two things really, JJ. Number one, we've already said all good, high-character individuals. That's what we're looking for. All guys that are coming to Saginaw Valley for a variety of reasons, not just one. And, as I said, I think this group really evaluated what we have to offer here, and is coming here for the right reasons. But then the other thing is, I think we had a great opportunity to spread our brand this past recruiting season. We're pulling kids out of North Carolina, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and then the state of Michigan. So I think the brand is strong out there. It's getting stronger, and I think as we continue to do that, and then the last thing I will say is we've got a great strength program with Chris Winter. And I think, rest assured, the young men that come into our program are going to have an opportunity to develop to their potential. And ultimately, that's what it's all about. We talk about it all the time. Our goal as coaches is to help these young men get to their potential as people, as students, and as football players. And all those resources and pieces are here to make that happen.
Well, we hope that happens for all of them over the next 4 or 5 years, and we thank you for joining us and for sharing some words of wisdom about this year's 2018 recruiting class, and we thank you for joining us for this Signing Day special at Saginaw Valley State University.